To all who come to this happy podcast, welcome to FBPresents, a happy place where each week we combine imagination with experience to discuss, challenge, and explore all things Disneyland. I am Ron Berner, and with me as always, Mr. FreshBaked himself, the indelible David Erickson.
What's up, FreshBaked?
And this is FreshBaked Presents, episode 20. Thanks for joining us, where today we share our Disneyland observations. We reach into the mailbag to answer your questions and, of course, our 5 things Disneyland. David, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great, Ron. Doing great. How are you?
I am living the dream, my friend.
I was almost going to say that, but I can't say that because Ron's going to say that.
I always say that. Say it at work, say it everywhere, just because it's such an easy, move on kind of thing. Nobody cares about the bad stuff anyway.
No.
So we've been park hopping and at Disneyland recently, as always. Me, the weekend warrior, and you, as often as you can possibly get in. And I've noticed things good, bad, and indifferent. Just my experiences in the parks have been really good, really enjoyable, and really just fun to see how things are starting to come back and open, and things that weren't there, construction, everything across the board. So I just wanted to see if we could get into sharing, let's call it Disneyland observations, just some bullet points and some things that we are seeing on our experiences. So with that, I guess I wanted to, how have your experiences been, and what are you enjoying or not enjoying? Well,
it's funny because I feel like something that I have observed is, because I observe now more than I ever did. I used to be very, I would just go to the park and have fun. But today, these days, post shutdown, I'm watching everything. And it's interesting because there's a bigger magnifying glass on the Disneyland product today in general from all guests than there ever has been. People are dissecting Disney's, what's happening in the parks more so than they ever have, I think. And there's a lot of judgment going on. And so I like this topic in that sense because, and we've kind of got into this before in different times, that there are things that we're watching that are, to use your phrase, less than ideal. There's plenty of good happening at Disneyland. There's plenty of good. So if you want to talk about good, bad, I don't want to say ugly or indifferent, as you said. I think the thing that people forget, or the thing that I want to remind, the thing I want to observe today, as far as the good, is that Disneyland, as a place, is still Disneyland. It hasn't changed. The park as a place to be and enjoy hasn't changed at all. It's great. Disneyland, it's not good. Disneyland is great. Disneyland is amazing. All the things that made Disneyland great for the past, 65 going on 70 years now, are still there. Space Mountain, Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean, Jungle Cruise. These are things that there's nothing wrong with any of those attractions. There's nothing wrong with that. And when you go to the park, when you go to Disneyland, that's great. That is, good. And that's the thing that I would want to say first and foremost above anything else is, don't let any of this other noise distract you from what Disneyland is. And it is the same thing as it's always been. There are things that are missing, but Disneyland as a place is still as it's always been. That is
an excellent point, and I agree. So much to the point that I'll just jump to that because I had that as my very last thing in terms of good. And I put that Disneyland shines through. So it's resilient based on what we've gone through, the resilience of the park and the resilience of the energy. So there's been obstacles, to say the least. But it's persevered. Disneyland, the essence of Disneyland has persevered through all the noise and obviously what's going on in the world. But aside from that, just the narrative and the noise and the dysfunction that it appears and the problems that have been going on, at least from a PR standpoint or from the narrative on Twitter or anywhere else.
Yeah.
So, but when you go to the parks, it's maybe I'm just compartmentalizing but I think I'm not. I think I can speak for just humans. When we go to the parks, we're in the parks, and yeah, you just feel it. You feel Disneyland shine through. Everything goes away for a little while, like life's troubles or whatever you want to call it, stresses. It's just, you're just there, and the energy just is palpable. It's fun and it's great. Even despite, to your point, everything is not back. Things are coming back. There's lots of construction, lots of those sort of changes. But every time I see those, to me, the eternal optimist, I just think that's for the better. Like, that's what's to come. That's exciting.
Yeah.
So I agree with you 100%. It's fun into parks these days, man. It really is.
Once you read that sign and go through that tunnel, I mean, nothing else matters anymore, and it's everything gets put in the rear view, at least for me anyway. And I would definitely recommend guests to allow themselves to check out and to compartmentalize in that sense your Disneyland visit and just be there.
You know where it gets me? You said read that sign, and that is also true. You know what just sticks out for me, if anybody ever asks me, or whatever, that moment of that switch flipping for me is hearing the music. Whether I'm walking downtown Disney, whether I'm in the park construction, wherever you're at where they're playing the music, where you can just start, all of a sudden you're hearing that Disney music by the time by the time you get to the Esplanade, you've heard plenty of it. That just all of a sudden, just Disney music just feel good stuff. It really is. Anything? What else, David?
Well, good.
Actually, go to a bad. Go to a less.
Oh,
than
you
ideal.
want to do a bad? Okay.
Well, let's toggle back and forth a little bit, maybe. See how it goes. Because I feel like Disneyland Observations is something that we'll probably return to, every couple months or every whatever. So let's try it this way and see how it goes.
Yeah. Let's talk about Genie Plus. I'm not a fan. I should say I was fine with Max Pass, even though I didn't want to pay for it. The idea of something that used to be free was now paid kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But whatever. That's the nature of theme parks in today's environment. But Genie Plus took it to a next level because they took away the free option. But once you accept the fact that Genie Plus is here, then we can talk about what it is or it isn't. Genie Plus is not working, in my opinion. And I'm not trying to say this from an angle of I dislike it, but I'm talking about, is it doing what Disney wants it to do, or is it a benefit to guests? It is to some, but at Disneyland, I feel like Genie Plus needs an option for APs. And I think in order for Genie Plus to work for everyone, in order for it to work in the park correctly, there needs to be an option, an a la carte, a buy-in option with your annual pass, I think. So that's the thing it's a negative that I want to see them fix, and that's my solution. If you allow me to do it that way.
Yeah. That is interesting because I don't know that they're going to do that, because it makes sense. They did it previously, and I jumped all over it. I paid for it immediately. I couldn't wait to pay for it.
They're not going to get my business without it. They're not. They're just not. Right?
Well, here's what's funny about that point. Last week or 2 weeks ago, or all the conversations we've had leading up to this very conversation, they would have gotten my money often, many a time, because I just think the value is there, and plus I like PhotoPass. I do think it's very beneficial if you intend to go on a number of rides. However, we were talking off camera a little bit ago. I just went to the park this weekend, and I did not get it because I wanted, my own little fun experiment with Champ, my son. We did not get it, and we went through the park, and I just didn't see the need. I didn't get it on purpose because I didn't think I would need it for most of the morning. And by the time I got to the afternoon, I had got on every single ride, every single Disney Lightning Lane ride. And I just didn't need it. So, and the park was as enjoyable as it's ever been. And that's kind of the whole thing of talking about like Disneyland observations. My overall observations are, the parks they're always fantastic. Don't get me wrong. They are always fantastic. Right now, I've had as little of resistance, whether it's walking down aisles, whether it's ordering food, whether it's getting on attractions. It doesn't matter. Like right now, the parks are absolutely as comfortable and fun to. You will be slammed in the parks right now, doing whatever the heck
full. Doing
whatever you want to do. Yeah, they're not full, but what are they? I don't know. I do think that Genie Plus, my not less than ideal, is all the confusion around it. That Disney does a poor job of making things simple when they make things that are simple more complicated in a weird way. I want transparency from them. I feel like more than ever I'm getting less transparency, which is saying something. It's just things are just confusing as it relates to the software, and I don't like relying so heavily on my phone, on an app, on those type of things.
I almost feel like they do that intentionally in terms of making it more confusing than it needs to be. MaxPass you could sell easily because you would just say MaxPass is FastPass on your phone. Don't have to go to the attraction to get your FastPass. You pay for it. That's basically it. That was the selling point of MaxPass. You can't say the same thing. You try to describe Genie Plus to a casual, like you got a friend coming in from out of town. He wants to go to Disneyland with you. He hasn't been in a couple of years. Try to explain to him what Genie Plus is. I don't even know if you can. Can you? Is it possible to it's easy for us to understand it because we go all the time. It's osmosis. Right. It's just built in. But there are plenty of people out there who don't know Disneyland the way that we do, and they have. I can't imagine how frustrating and confusing reservations and Genie Plus and mobile order and all that must be to the person who hasn't been here for a couple of years. Just imagine.
Oh, I can't imagine, because the reservation thing is funny that you say that. That is the ultimate in confusion, because reservation does not mean that you have park access. Like, wait a second, I got a reservation for Disneyland. Well, but you don't have a ticket. Like, what? Like, what other world can you have a reservation without access to that? That is in and of itself confusing.
There are people out there, a fairly reasonable percentage of guests out there, or prospective guests, who don't know that you can't just walk up to the gate and buy a ticket.
Right.
There are people, I am positive, I know of at least one case, I was witness to a conversation, I am positive there are guests walking up to Disneyland thinking they can just go in. And they're told you can't. And you can't, even if there's reservations available, Ron, you can't buy a ticket at the gate. You have to get on your phone. You have to get on your phone and make a reservation and buy the ticket and then go, here's my ticket.
It's so nonsensical. I don't care what everybody says. It's just like standing in front of an empty Gibson girl wanting an ice cream, but you can't get.
Nope.
When that happened to me, I can't go in. There's nobody in there, but
Yeah.
I can't go in because I didn't do it on my dead phone. Like, come on.
It reminded me a trip I made to the Cozy Cones in DCA. I wanted to get up and get some popcorn or something like that. And I just walk up to the window and they're like, "What are you doing here?" You know, like, what do you mean? I don't want to get some. No, you got to make a mobile order. You can't just walk up to the window and place it. You know.
Is that still the case?
Well, this was a few months ago, so I don't know if it is or not. I don't go to the Cozy Cones a lot. But there are most locations do have standby, but this one didn't.
Right.
And I didn't know it. You know what I mean? Like, it was just, and okay, so that's less than ideal.
That's less than ideal.
Less than ideal.
I have a less than ideal.
Okay.
Just the staffing issues in terms of overall, whether you're buying merchandise, no matter where you're at, it just feels thin, and I feel like that's noticeable.
It is.
It's noticeable on attractions. I've said this before, but I've gone on single rider, or I attempted to go on single rider at Radiator Springs, and I was told straight up by the cast member, "Sorry, it's closed because we're not staffed for that." And I'm like, "Wait, this is a very essential part of the attraction and a part of the park experience." And I didn't have this conversation with him. I didn't say that, but in my mind, I'm like, "Wow, that's unfortunate." So that, I think staffing issues overall helps everything. It helps efficiency. It helps cleanliness. It helps service as far as like food. That was the big one. So when the staff comes back, and even I also remembered I don't know if you've noticed this, but because I have thought about the staffing issues, you would frequently see, they're all in white, the custodial services. I'm not sure exactly what they call them at Disneyland, but just people that are taking care of the grounds, whether they're sweeping or changing garbage bags. You used to see them often. And I noticed to myself, I'm like, man, I actually don't even see them very often.
You don't see them as much.
And here's another interesting wrinkle that I don't know if there's any facts to it whatsoever. I often see, this could also be by what the consumer is doing, often see plaids, VIP services. I see them all over the parks usually. This last trip, because we were making a point to look for it, I only saw one the entire day at Disneyland. That doesn't necessarily mean anything.
You mean on their own as opposed to not with a party?
Not with a party. I only saw one plaid, period. And I just thought that was an interesting observation. It doesn't that doesn't necessarily mean a thing, but it just goes back to like the volume of activity and the things that are going on in the park. And I just thought that was curious. Like, wow. And that didn't come till late in the day.
Yeah. Well, on a side note, one of the things that I was going to mention on my less than ideal list was there's an increased frequency of rides going down for maintenance, midday. And I feel like that is related to staffing. I don't think that they have enough people just to keep the rides up. I know they had a slow start on this because while we were in shutdown, the attractions weren't being maintained. And they do need to be maintained. Even if they're not running, they need to be maintained. They need to be they need to send the cars out empty if they need to, to keep everything, the process lubricated, as it were.
Right.
But it's 2 years since then, so we shouldn't be having that problem anymore. But having said that, we're still getting it. And I think it has to do with, to your observation, that they need more people. They need more cast in that park. Everywhere, across the board.
Yeah, I agree. I think some good things, or another good thing that I've experienced, like I said, the crowd levels, I don't know what they're saying. Do you know what they're saying on how many people are allowed in as far as percentage of capacity?
It's not the old number. I know that. They are. No, I don't know what the actual number is, but I would be surprised if it's anything more than 80% of what it used to be.
Even 80% seems so high. And the reason I say that is the park is so navigational. It's exceptional. Yeah. The park is absolutely exceptional right now. The crowd levels are minimal. And I had mentioned that earlier, so that's not the good thing I was going to say now. But I think a little bit of as a result of that, and hopefully because process has improved, I have had amazing luck with mobile order recently. Every time I've ordered, and a matter of fact, I have ordered food, and I used to be all the way across the park, or not even in the same park when I said I'm here, because it was such a problem. That has not been the case for a few weeks now. I say I'm here, and within a few minutes, it's ready, and then when I go up there, I'm getting it right away, and it's hot and it's ready. And that, I don't think that it's pure luck. I know they were figuring things out. I know they had staffing issues. I think the process that they're getting better. I like to think anyway that they're getting better at it and it's improved. So that was such a refreshing thing to think that I could get food relatively close to when I want it.
Mobile order. If you were to ask me to say what they're doing right or what's going well, mobile order is definitely on that list of things. I think the reason for that, though, I'm not sure if it's necessarily due to them being better at it per se. I think they're giving it more priority with regard to cast members and staffing, that kind of thing. You go to any restaurant, quick service restaurant, and you'll see if there's 8 bays, 8 windows, then 6 of them are mobile. They're giving more priority to mobile order guests, which makes it more efficient and more fluid. And like you said, you can hit your button and have your food. And the wait times are not very long. In most cases, it's less than an hour. That's the top of the tier. In most cases, it's a few minutes from now or 20 minutes, 30 minutes, that kind of thing. Mobile order's doing very well, I think, and I would recommend it highly to anybody going to the park.
Yeah, and that being said, I always do it far down the line, and I love the option. One of my favorite options on the mobile order is you can move that window, because I was in I I can't remember. Oh, Oga's Cantina. We were just talking about that. I was
Yeah.
in Oga's Cantina, but I had a Hungry Bear reservation, and I was in Oga's, and I'm like, I just got in Oga's, so I'm like, I'm not leaving here. So I just easily just moved that window to 45 minutes later. It was like,
Yep.
I mean, I love efficiency. To me, that was just perfection. I was like, this is so great.
I did that same thing last night.
Love it so much. So what else? How has I have kind of alluded to my experiences as far as going to the parks and enjoy, how much fun I'm having and how great I think it is, in terms of what it used to be. Not that it's different. It's just different because it used to be cram packed. You couldn't even walk through Adventureland. You couldn't you couldn't make those walks because it was so packed. So I guess along with you talking about the things that are good and less than ideal, how have your experiences been?
You mean in terms of being in the park and how it feels?
Yeah, just doing Disneyland.
Yeah, no, it's been great. I'm having as much fun as I've ever had at Disneyland, no doubt about it. I have not. The park for me has not missed a beat. If anything, it's easier to do, like you alluded to, with terms of the crowds. And a matter of fact, it's even getting better because I was walking through the New Orleans Square yesterday, and lo and behold, there was the Jambalaya Jazz Band, and that really made me happy to see that was a thing that I thought wouldn't come back. That I thought that Disney wouldn't bring back the jazz band, just because that's been their history, is to reduce live entertainment as opposed to increasing. Well, this isn't really an increase because it's something that was already there before.
Right.
But it gives me hope. It made me feel hope that little by little we're getting back to we got the Fantasmic and World of Color coming back, and the fireworks and all that. Disneyland Forever. I can see the future. I can see the finish line, and that makes me feel good that's a thing. So, and I mean, being able to do that, being able to go to Disneyland and knowing that you've got a full complement of things to entertain you is a good feeling. And that's seeing the Jambalaya Jazz Band yesterday really made me happy.
I totally agree with that. Those different kinds of options, because I use entertainment options as rest, as a place to relax, as a place to recover, especially if you're doing I'm always early morning. I will never not be there at rope drop. I just refuse to enter the park. If it's not rope drop, I refuse to go.
Why would you do it any other way?
I know, exactly. But when I leave, sometimes I've closed before and sometimes we leave early. It just depends, right? So on those days that you're going to be into the night for, say, World of Color, or Fantasmic, or even fireworks, those are the days where those entertainment options you're still doing something, you're still enjoying the park and experiencing just pure joy while also resting. So it is nice to know that those options are there and there's more of them.
Yep.
Anything else on your list that we haven't gotten to yet, whether that be good or less than ideal?
Well, there's one thing that I feel like Disney has not addressed, or is even trying to address, and I'm not sure how they do it, but Disney as a company, but specifically as it relates to Disneyland more so, and Disney World for that matter, they're going through a PR crisis right now, in my opinion. It seems like, social is just all about hitting Disney over the head with whatever it is. I mean, you name it. The thing 2 days ago, Walt Disney World was getting massacred on social because they were out of the boxes for the droids at Walt Disney World. Those the carrying cases, and they would just put it in a bag.
No, that
lightsaber.
was the lightsaber, yeah.
Yeah,
it's on my list, by the way, because that's trash.
Yeah, supply chain issues are a definite issue that they need to work on. I don't know how they can fix that. But anyway, my point is that it's very trendy right now to find things to hate about Disney or Disneyland. And it doesn't seem like Disney's doing anything to combat, especially the big stuff, reservations, Genie Plus, that kind of thing. They need to do something. They need to give. They need to find a way to make a big gesture, because I feel like their reputation is on the line. I mean, people don't want to go to the parks as much as they used to. Even though I'm telling you, go to the park. It's still great. Disneyland's still fun. But if you've chosen not to go anyway, how are you going to know? How are you going to experience that Disneyland magic? Disney as a company needs to fix their public image a little bit. Disneyland, again, I keep saying Disney, but because I guess it is ubiquitous in some sense, but I'm speaking specifically about Disneyland. They need to do something. They need to give something to the guests to say, here's a thing that I want to give to you. Enjoy this. It's free, as it were. Fix something,
Make it right. I 100% agree. And I actually put that on my list, even though it's not our park. I put it on the list, and because of what you said, the aesthetics of that. Now, I understand the cast members that are there are in such a terrible situation because they can't make these executive decisions and say, we're sorry that we're going to charge you full price for the lightsaber. However, you're not getting a part of what comes with that. Instead, here's this plastic bag. That's a really
bad look.
It's those optics cannot be defended. However, I have seen. I don't know how they're going to do this, but I thought I saw on a probably unreliable website that they're trying to give back some sort of a coupon or some sort of value back because I just went and bought another lightsaber for Champ a couple weeks ago, and it was $250 with the clip or whatever. That's pretty $247 or something like that. It's pretty substantial price, right? And a big part of that, we went the rest of the day through DCA and the parks, and he's lugging that huge thing around because I'm not going to carry it. I'm forcing him to carry it. Yeah. And without that padded sheath that it comes in, that would have been a really problematic
situation. Are you kidding?
Situation.
Who wants to do that?
Right. So that was such a bad look, to your point, their PR nightmare that they have. And problems present themselves, and that's not really the case. Just like I parent to my son, spilling syrup on the counter is not the problem. You're not in trouble for that. Make it right. Clean it. Somehow remedy the situation in a way that at least looks like effort is being given. Yeah. So I agree. I agree. I would just like to see Disney go above and beyond for us because they're trying to present to us that they're doing these things for us, but I got news for you. They are doing it for them and trying to pitch it and give us the perceived value that they're doing it for us. I don't believe that for 1 second, which goes right back to your point. I do 100% believe that people will be able to walk up to those kiosks or the gates at Disneyland to purchase a ticket.
Someday, sure.
They will be able to because they're saying no. Anyway, that's my list, I think. I guess one thing I put is along those same lines is continuing to raise prices while providing the exact same value, if not less. Like they're talking about the food, that they're going to cut our portion sizes, and they tell us that. However, that will not be reflected in the pricing of it. And that's also just, I don't know, that's just kind of
Anecdotal story for you. I went to Galactic Grill, got a burger and fries. Now, I can't say this for sure, but I'm pretty sure there was a good 70% of the amount of fries than I used to get. It was just a tiny little thing of fries, and I'm like, that looks like less to me.
I just don't like. It's fine to do that. I get it, but let that be reflected in the price. Don't tell us you're giving us the exact same thing.
Do that, Ron.
Well, I know,
but it's a dream world, sir.
I'm just saying, like, you're telling me, like, you're getting half as much for the same price. That's just, I mean, that's where things are going to bite them eventually. One other thing, quickly, I know you're going to talk about this at some point in your proper channel. The wait time manipulation conversation. I bring it up only because people, you included, are trying to tell me that they're not fudging the numbers, and I'm not saying with certainty that they are. I went on nearly every single attraction at Disneyland this weekend, Champ and I, and only one of them the time was accurate, and I don't remember that sort of inaccuracies back in the day. And I say accurate to the point of, or I say inaccuracies to the point of, I'm getting on these attractions. Every single one of them except Smuggler's Run was dead on. In much quicker time, at least 10-15 minutes faster time. And that's a good thing, but I'm just curious. It's like I don't recall that back 2 years ago. And your thoughts?
It was a thing back in the day. I remember having that same observation, that same conversation. I would always say it's never the post wait time was almost always higher. It felt like pre-COVID, pre-shutdown. So this is a conversation that happens independent of Genie, which is one of the reasons why I argued that they're not doing it for reasons to sell Genie Plus, because it's always been a thing. My contention is that they're wrong because they're bad at it. They're just bad at keeping those numbers up to date. The fact that it's often too high, maybe, and I've got anecdotal sort of things to observe where maybe they might fudge it 5 or 10 minutes, but nothing like an hour or more to say, look at this wait time, you need to go get Genie Plus. I don't think it's like that.
Right. And I do agree with that. I just know that I've been going to the parks for a decade, solid. At least I've been an AP holder, whatever it's called nowadays, Magic Key holder for an entire decade. And my experience has been, and to your point, it hasn't been as significant, but it used to be pretty reliable, I felt, and pretty accurate when I got on it and then now, even my 11-year-old son, we go to, say, Pirates or something, and he's like, that was not 40 minutes. I'm like, yeah, I know. I don't know why they say that. It was like 17 minutes. Yeah. It's a good problem, but it's just it's a Disneyland observation. So to those that are going, do not be afraid of the posted times, because every single ride this weekend we got on much faster than the time indicated.
That's going to happen, yeah.
And that's a good thing. All right, David. This week in Disney history, are you ready, good sir?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Okay, some funky, funny little things. Opening in theaters this week. Light week, actually January, of course. That's always the light movie season. Son of Flubber opened this week in 1963. The sequel to its 1961's The Absent-Minded Professor. The film follows the further adventures of college professor Ned Brainerd and his flying rubber, Flubber. Fun fact, Walt Disney's grandson, Walter Elias Disney Miller, makes an appearance as a baby in a television commercial. I know, it's fun. I love the fun facts. Are you a Flubber fan?
I remember it vaguely, the first Flubber. I certainly did not. Son of Flubber. I didn't even know that was a thing.
I know it's a thing. I just don't know that I've seen it. I don't recall. I know that it's a movie, but I don't remember the premise. Flubber, of course, both versions. That one and the great Robin Williams, and the other one is just. I love Fred MacMurray, who starred in this Flubber. So I've seen lots and lots of his films, and I don't know. The first Flubber's it's fun. It doesn't hold up because the visuals are so bad. Yeah. But the story's fun. And here's another interesting one. It didn't open this week, but what did happen this week, Three Men and a Baby becomes the first Disney movie to break the $100 million mark in ticket sales. Wow. It was released on November 25th, 1987, and directed by Leonard Nimoy.
I was going to say. I was going to throw that trivia at you, but you beat me to it.
That Leonard Nimoy directed it. I was going to ask you this, David. Do you remember a wild rumor that ran rampant after this film's release? Moviegoers caught a glimpse of what was reported to be a ghostly figure in the background of one shot. The rumor was that it was the ghost of a child who had lived in the house where the filming took place. The rumor was false. There was no house. The set was built on a soundstage in Toronto, and the ghost turned out to be a prop left inadvertent where it could be seen in the shot. Yeah,
it was one of those cardboard props for Gutenberg, I think, wasn't it?
Steve Gutenberg, 100%. Well, I don't know if he was in the shot, but
no, I mean it's a cardboard of him,
right? And I don't know who it was of, because you couldn't really make that part out. But I can tell you, I can picture the scene perfectly. Do you want to know why? Me too. Because of college, of course, back in these days, '88, right? You had the VHS, but back in college, we all went to look. And we're like, especially on VHS and a 19-inch tube TV, we're like, oh my gosh, there really is a ghost there. So I just thought that was funny, because it might be a little esoteric bubble of people that know about that, but we are them.
Yep. Count me in.
January 12th, 1956, the Silhouette Studio Shop opens. It sells hand-cut black silhouettes of visitors and has been a Main Street staple since 1956. These fast, affordable, one-of-a-kind mementos are one of the most popular souvenirs you can buy from Disneyland. the Disneyland website cites, transform a magical day into a keepsake treasure, courtesy of silhouettes featuring your entire family. Watch and wonder as our artists create at a rate of 60 seconds per portrait. You can even tuck their work into its very own picture frame. Fun fact, the Silhouette Studio is the tiniest shop on Main Street. Its floor space measures just 100 square feet.
Yeah, it's tiny.
You don't have a Silhouette, do you?
I've never done one.
This is on here specifically because I love the Silhouette Studio shop. My grandparents had this in her bedroom of all of us, and I was the first grandchild on either side. I don't have a cousin older than me on either side of the family, and it was grandma, grandpa, and me was next. And as soon as Champ, I could first take him to the park. We went. I just love I just think it is a very perfect Disneyland memento.
It really is.
Yeah. But the funny thing about it is, as soon as they finish Champs, I'm like, wait a second, this looks exactly like mine. So I feel like they only know how to cut like 2 or 3 different people out, and that's why they do it in 60 seconds.
It's like guitar chords. There's only like 8 of them.
You know? Right. So anyway, it's a fun thing. I do think it's a fantastic memento. It's just for me, it's very Disneyland. Yeah. 2001. This you will absolutely remember, Mr. David Erickson. The Downtown Disney District opens, a 300,000 square foot shopping promenade on space previously occupied by the original Disneyland parking lot and Disneyland Hotel. It featured restaurants, nightclubs, shops, and movie theaters, and still does feature some of those things. This Shoppertainment Center, as it was called, news to me, was constructed as a part of a larger Disneyland resort expansion and designed to encourage locals to visit and increase resort visits. Curious, as I thought locals were the problem. So as a local, at the time, did it feel as if they were successful? Or what do you remember about that time? It wasn't that long ago.
I was not an avid park goer at that time when it opened, when that in Grand California and all that. That was before, I was in a dead period in my Disneyland history. So I don't remember, I remember it opening. I remember that being a thing, but I wasn't going to downtown Disney or the parks really at that point. So I don't really have any memories of that.
Yeah, I guess it's just interesting that, like, I feel like if you lived in a neighborhood, that would have been just a talked about thing because you couldn't get away from it because it's your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Interesting. The Legacy of Walt Disney display opens on Main Street in 1970. The display of Walt Disney's awards and other memorabilia, along with an exhibit on the California Institute of the Arts, remained until the major awards were moved to the Walt Disney Story attraction in 1973. I don't know anything about that, even in homework. Do you?
No, not at all.
Yeah, it's funny that it's just something I never came across previously, and I'm like, have I? I just don't remember, but I don't know anything about that. It wasn't there long, 70 to the beginning of 73, so it quickly moved on, but that was a thing. And it makes sense to put these, treasures in a safer place.
Yeah.
1958, Canal Land pet boarding facility outside of Disneyland main gate opened. Walt felt it was important that travelers visiting Disneyland have a place where they could board their pets for the day rather than leave them in their hot cars. What? Later...
Can you imagine? That was a thing people did back then.
Oh, it's funny because that's what I was going to say. It was later called the Kennel Club. I put, once again, how funny times change. Animals left in a hot car today, you go to jail.
Right, no. But that was a thing, yeah.
Yeah, and what's funny was it's called Ken-L-Land. And it was just the stupidest name. I couldn't understand it whatsoever. And then all of a sudden it occurred to me when I was like refining my writing to make it make sense. I was like, Kennel-Land, kennel, like a dog kennel. It probably made sense when I read it and said it, but when you're looking at it, reading it, I'm like, this is dumb. I don't like this at all. What a dumb name. So there you go. Okay, a couple of in memoriam, Disney in memoriams, which they deserve to be heard. They deserve to be celebrated and remembered, and of course, named a Disney legend in 2009, and 6-time Emmy Award-winning actress Betty Marion White was born on January 17th. So this week in Disney history she was born January 17th, and of course, she just passed.
Yeah, she just passed.
The beloved and iconic star of the Golden Girls passed away this past New Year's Eve, just 17 days of her 100th birthday. Bob Iger said, "Rest in peace, Betty White, our Golden Girl, our friend, and our neighbor. Your wit, your charm, your warmth, and your smile will always be with us." In Toy Story 4, she was cast as Bitey White, a toy tiger named in her honor. White's celebrated history with Disney runs deep. During the Disney Legends Awards ceremony at D23 Expo in 2009, she recalled being so very excited when the first Mickey Mouse doll was released. "I needed that Mickey Mouse doll," she said. "My parents, bless their hearts, bought him for me, and he still stands on my desk to this day."
Wow.
That's cool, because that would have been 70 years.
Yeah,
60,
I would like
60
that.
years.
I would like to have something like that.
Right. And in 2000, legendary and original Imagineer Mark Davis passed away at 86. Mark joined Disney in 1935 as an apprentice animator on Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and moved on to story sketch and character design on Bambi. His story drawings for Bambi are considered some of the finest studio studies of animal characters ever created by the Disney studio. Over the years, he animated on classic Disney features such as Song of the South, Cinderella, and Alice in Wonderland. Mark is best known as the father of some of Disney's most memorable animated women. Cruella de Vil, Maleficent, and Tinkerbell are his creations. As one of Disney's original Imagineers, Mark developed some of the most iconic scenes in Disney attractions and contributed whimsical story and character concepts for such Disneyland attractions as The Enchanted Tiki Room, It's a Small World, Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, and Jungle Cruise. After 43 years with the studio, Mark retired in 1978 and was named a Disney legend in 1989. Talk about a tombstone. They call it a tombstone like your stat sheet.
Yeah.
Impressive Imagineer. And the last thing this week in Disney history, David. Cool fun facts. 1930. The first Mickey Mouse comic strip debuted 91 years ago. It was written by Walt and drawn by Iwerks, who also drew the first Mickey Mouse cartoon. Almost 2 years to the day after that, January 17th, 1932, the first color Mickey comic is published. The first series of Mickey cartoons brought instant fame to the cheerful personality in the late 20s. Enter the 1930s, when more than 100 Mickey shorts hit theaters, licensed Mickey products became the newest sensation in character merchandising, and more than 1 million children joined Mickey Mouse clubs across the United States. But just as important was Mickey's first entry into families' homes on a day-to-day basis via the Mickey Mouse comic strip. Incidentally, the first comic strip followed a similar storyline to the first Mickey cartoon produced, Plane Crazy, in 1928. In the strip, our ambitious hero is again inspired by Charles Lindbergh to pursue the building of his own plane. And how could anything go wrong with that idea? By the summer of 1930, the comic strip appeared in over 40 newspapers across nearly 24 countries, helping to usher in Mickey's golden age and establish the mouse as the foundation and universally recognized symbol of the Disney organization. Comics.
You remember those? Remember comics? Remember comic strips? The funny pages?
I really do. What funny pages? Who did you love?
Family Circus, Garfield, Far Side. That's all I could think of at the moment.
You know what's so funny is I would read these things all the time, and I can't really think of the ones I loved either. I want to say Blondie. And,
oh my God, that's way back.
And what's the one? Beetlejuice? No, Beetle Bailey? Is that
Beetle Bailey? Yeah.
Beetle Bailey.
That's
love
from
that.
the 50s, isn't it?
Well, it must have carried into when I was getting the paper because I'm not that old. But they were just in the paper. I just love the funnies. We called them the funnies. Page, right?
Yeah. Do they still do those? Is it still a thing?
I haven't seen them in a long time.
I haven't seen a newspaper in 50 years. It seems.
Well, that's also a fair point. It is mail time, Mr. Erickson.
All right.
Thank you, as always, for the questions. We appreciate them, and I implore you to send me more. Here's a shameless plug, at Fake Ron Burner on Twitter, or go to the at FBP Podcast on Twitter. Either one, Send them. That's
right.
the best way. That's the best way to send them, because that way I can get them and transform them right away. Alexa Wood, thank you for the question. Since the Dream and Believe keys are sold out, do you believe Disney will ever bring those keys back, or will they change the Magic Key program altogether?
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, they're coming back. I would say probably in the next month or two. I don't know anything, but that's just my feeling that I have. Yeah, they're coming back. There might even be a 5th pass.
That's interesting, because I was going to say both. They're definitely coming back, because it's the whole gym membership thing. They're not going to say, they're not going to not take our money, people. And I'm going to say that until the end of time. Yep. That being said, this isn't working, right? Like it's broken. Whatever they have is broken. Because the name of the game is creating value and maximizing profits, which is for them, right? The creating value part for us is not happening right now, and the maximizing profits is not happening for them right now. So
neither is happening. No.
Neither is happening. So that tells you very anecdotally and factually that will change. Now, the changes that will make to the Magic Key Pass, I don't know, but I definitely agree with David. It's much easier to change, to just add to something that already exists than have to completely, like, it's better to governor it by saying just open the floodgates and let the Wild West and let us all come back and let us do those things, than completely change the program, other than adding an additional pass option, I think.
Yep. Yeah, and for whatever it's worth, they were going to do this anyway. The Flex Pass back in the day was the beta test of all this. So the idea that they're going to get rid of a reservation-based pass, that's not a thing. There will be passes with reservations. What's going to change is whether or not there will be passes without reservations. That's the change that we're looking for.
And I say there will be.
Yep.
I mean, if I'm a betting man, and I am, and if they don't, they're going to roll out something drastically different that we don't know about yet. That's going to be very, very, very different. What is currently in place is going to have some pretty significant changes, I believe.
Yeah.
Julie, thank you for the question. And number 2, Julie Brenneman Corey asks, if you could change one thing about your life, what would it be? Interesting.
I wrote, wow, that's deep.
I know, but I promise.
I thought we were talking about Disney over here.
I know. I put the reservation system. I would get a higher pass.
Oh, change that about yourself?
No, I didn't.
Oh. About myself, I mean, look, I have, for my whole life, I have practiced the philosophy of just, I accept and love my life as it is, no matter where I'm at. I'm a generally happy guy. I certainly, we would all want a little more of this or a little more of that, but I'm pretty happy. I'm a pretty happy guy. I've got a family. I've got a career, but I guess if there was one thing that I would want to do better or be better at, I wish I was in better health. More fit, just have a better health regimen, because I don't take particularly good care of myself around. And so, because I'm getting on, and I think that would be it. I think I just want to have a little bit better health, I think.
Noble, worthy answer. I agree. Who doesn't, right? Who doesn't want better health? I wish I was a better person, frankly.
You are a better... No, take that back, Ron. There's nothing wrong with the kind of person you are, sir. You are one of the kindest, nicest people that I've ever met. You just take that right back.
I am very kind. I am the guy, let's put it this way. I'm the guy you want to go in a foxhole with. So if we go to war, you definitely want me with you.
I would take you in a foxhole with me right now, Ron.
But I do say that because it goes back to steps. We talked about steps last week. My own personal little self-reflection thing is I itinerize my life. I know when I'm going to the grocery store. I know everything about my life, and in terms of scheduling, like I'm just a million miles an hour. So in order for me to be effective, at least in my head, this is all mental, at least in my head, I have to feel like I'm following some sort of a plan. But to be honest, the question that I always get asked, like if I want to give advice to my younger brother, I always said I'm the oldest in my family as far as brothers and sisters and cousins. So they always seek out advice from me. And I'm always like, make a decision. Know what you want and then go after that. And that was I chased dreams, and don't get me wrong, I feel like I accomplished every one of them. I worked in the movie business. I worked in the NFL. I have like David said, I've had a dream life in so many ways, but I also feel like that put me 10 years behind the curve. Like I'm doing things now that I feel like in terms of where I am in life, I feel like I should have been there 10 years ago. So my friends in high school, my friends in college, they knew when we were in high school, they're like, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be an electrician. And that's what they ended up doing. And they are doing so well in life because they knew what they wanted and they stuck with it and they did it. And I think I'm going to, do all these millions of other things. And that's the advice I would give people. Know what you want.
But it's still, you're still a symbol, a model, because it's like you. I mean, I didn't know. 40 years it took me to figure out what I was going to do with my life.
Right,
40 years.
Exactly.
But you can, Ron. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's never too late, man. It's never too late. It's never too late.
But well, now I'm doing it, so
yeah. And you're a hell of a guy, Ron. You're a hell of a guy. I understand you want it to be to aspire to be the best version of yourself always. That's me as well. But I mean, I don't feel like I hope you don't think you're not a good person. I mean,
no, I think I could be more understanding. I think I could be. I don't know.
Impatient.
I'm just. Maybe I wish I was less OCD. Or ADD.
Well, there's that. Yeah. What are you going to do? What are you going to do about that, though?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
There's nothing you can do about that.
The world is dying to know the answer to this next question, and we're all dying to get out of that last question.
That was deep.
If you were to get a Disney-themed tattoo, where or what would it be, and where would you put it, David? This is from ChemCure.
Who's dying to know what kind of tattoos I want? I mean, I don't do tattoos. I think they're dying to know because they see that, or the people that can see me or have seen me, they see I'm fully sleeved. Yeah, you're sleeved.
At the very least, and then they're like, I wonder what David would like if he were to get one.
It's funny. I never would, but I don't know. I do like the way sleeves look. I do. So is there a way that I could just have an instant, like, without having to, because those are done incrementally generally, right? You get a little bit here, a little bit there, and before you know it, you've got yourself a whole thing.
Well, you get one at a time, yeah. Basically.
Yeah. If I were to do it, I would want to go right to the finish. I don't want to have just one. I think just one tattoo on your arm or something like that. That's so 30 years ago, people were excited if they had the one tattoo on their bicep or something like that. My brother
to
got
cover your tuberculosis little.
Yeah, like I would want to just go. I would want a full sleeve and a back tattoo of a Viking ship or something like that.
Yeah, it is true because once you get that one, it's hard to stop. So you can't even what character, what Disney thing. Or you don't know. I suppose it's hard. It's actually a very difficult question unless you've thought about it.
I think if I were to do it, it would be something that is personal as opposed to like Mickey Mouse or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not. I mentioned the Viking ship. I'm Swedish, and my nephew has a lot of Swedish sort of artwork on his all over him. He's covered. My nephew's covered. But I really enjoyed that. I like that idea of paying respect to where you come from, that kind of thing. So that's probably what I would do, something like that. And family.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, your head's in the right place because that's how I view tattoos. Like people see from the outside, like my sleeve, for example. People see from the outside, but they see what they want to see. That's what art is. It means a lot to me, and it's very detailed and specific. Like every single piece of ink on me is very specific to a.
Let's see that sleeve.
Well, it's a podcast.
Well, it's on YouTube also. Hey, look, there's Walt and Mickey.
Yeah, Walt and Mickey. So I got the partner statue from behind. I don't even know what else I got. I got the Little Mermaid on the rock out there.
Oh yeah.
I'll give you a clue to that. Renaissance, which is essentially a rebirth.
Oh yeah, you talk about that a lot. Yeah.
And then on the back, I'll give you a clue. I hate doing this, but I'm doing it for FreshBaked. This is the Jack and Sally, simply meant to be. And of course, Walt and Mickey, they couldn't coexist without the other. They needed each other to survive. And then Walt pointing out to the park, whatever that means to you, and what that means for me and my son is like you can do whatever you want to do, and we're doing this together. So his entire childhood is I'm a single father, so his entire childhood is me and him going to Disneyland every weekend. So it was special. I got to pick
for that, by the way. Being a single parent is hard.
It's yeah. Sometimes he might be the parent. That's the problem. I gotta choose better questions. I gotta make it real simple. So let's do 5 Disney.
All right,
5 things.
Let's do it.
Top 5 places to eat at the Disneyland Resort. This comes from Disney Steve. Thank you. Good question.
Number 5 for me is the Hungry Bear. I'm going to include in my list both things with respect to the food and to the experience. Hungry Bear is more experience than food because it's just a chicken sandwich and a cheeseburger, basically. So you don't go there for the food. But obviously, sitting on that top deck and watching river traffic go by is pretty much one of the coolest Disney things you can do. So Hungry Bear is my number 5 for that reason. And the chicken sandwich isn't bad. Chicken sandwich isn't bad.
They just had a barbecue. I just ate there this Saturday. They had a barbecue.
Yes.
Bacon cheeseburger and with a big old onion ring as the onion inside, and it was delicious.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. I had that as well.
I loved it. My number 5 is I did basically the same thing. These are my favorite places to enjoy a meal, and it's not necessarily my favorite meals because there's
well, it could be both.
It could be both. It could be a combination of both. I put Flo's V8 Cafe, and
I forgot about Flo's.
My favorite things. Every one of these essentially is going to have to do with ambiance because I love people watching. I love energy. I want to sit where I can see the world because I alluded to it earlier. Resting at Disneyland is very strategic for me in terms of meals. I want a meal and I want to sit at a place where I can just take it all in, where I'm in no hurry whatsoever. If you have a bad seat in the corner somewhere and it's just terrible, then all of a sudden you just want to get out of there.
Yeah.
But if you have a great seat, man, you're just enjoying it. And there's one of the best things to do, like you said at the top of Hungry Bear, one of the most enjoyable things to do is to just relax, but still take everything in and enjoy it. And also, as far as Flo's V8, I find it to be one of the better values in either park for the simple fact that it's home. It feels like it's home cooked mashed potatoes. They got food. They got good food.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I think it's very underrated. And it's also a great place to relax and have a beer. So you can either be in the front by Route 66. I actually tend to go the other side where you can see like Radiator Springs Racers and see people walking. I go over there and I try to get this as tucked away in the end as I can. Just sit there and enjoy a meal, relax, and take it all in. That's a fun little spot I like to go.
Yeah. No, it is. It's good. They got good chicken too.
They do.
Okay, so number 4 is a new entry into the dining at Disneyland deal, and that's the Harbor Galley in Pelican Landing. For the same reason as the Hungry Bear, but they have. I feel like the food is. I mean, the clam chowder is at Disneyland. It just hits different than it does anywhere else. You have clam chowder. It's like a churro. It's just better. It's just better at Disneyland. It's even more better when you're sitting there at Pelican Landing now. Those seats and that view is pretty great. I love hearing the traffic go by.
Right. The only reason I did not put that on my list because I haven't done it yet. I almost got.
Well, you need to fix that, Ron.
Oh, I do. I will. But lobster rolls for an 11-year-old, he's like, nah, I don't think so. And I was like, all right, fine, we'll go to Hungry Bear. But yeah, I actually want to do a lobster roll at that same thing. So my number 4, it was funny because it's the same visual, not the same, but essentially the same. What you're looking at is mine is Hungry Bear for the same reason, every reason that you just said. And I put it's not the sexiest and highest quality of food options, but it is good and affordable. And being on the rail and up top is a great view of the Twain and people watching Supreme. So
I will not sit on that upper deck. I will wait until I find something on the rail. I will not sit anywhere that's like, one or two tables in, because it's at that point it's just claustrophobic.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's too many tables up there. So I will scout until I find, even if I have to go to the back, I will look for that one of those rail seats.
Right. And here's a funny little side note. Waving, when people go by on the Twain and they wave and you wave, like, you can't help but wave. Like, nope. You know what I mean? And that's just a good energy, just a good thing.
Try to do that on the 405 though.
Right.
I've often thought about that. Why do we wave at Disneyland? But when we see traffic, we're like, "Hey, what's going up, guy on the 5?" You know.
Well, this is why I say I need to be a better person, because I'm the type of person that I fit very well into Disneyland. I also fit very well into the 405.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm comfortable in both.
Yeah. All right. Number 3. This is something. This is number 3 with a bullet for me. If you're familiar with the top 100, Casey Kasem countdown, like, it means it's moving up the charts. This right. One, Docking Bay 7 has become. At first, I didn't really appreciate Docking Bay 7, the food or whatever, but I've been going there more often lately, and that food is good. Docking Bay 7 food is good, and it's a cool setting. I like the setting, but because the music is neat, they've got that sort of, I don't know, I want to say East Indian sort of vibe to it. But I'm really digging the actual food at the kefta. The plant-based kefta is fantastic there, and so that is number 3 for me, and it's I almost put it number 1. I mean, I'm ready, but I got 2 more that I got to get to. But I mean, Docking Bay 7, I'm loving it.
I haven't eaten there recently. It's been a while since I've eaten there, but I like it, and I considered it from the standpoint that, especially if you want to get away, you want to get tucked away, and that escape. So Galaxy's Edge is about as special as it gets when it comes to that escaping, and
well, it turns out you're on another planet, which is great.
Well, that would explain it, I guess. And what didn't make my list, because it's not really a food option, but to your point with going back into Galaxy's Edge, I think Oga's Cantina is my favorite place in the entire park to go. As far as to get a beverage, sure. I absolutely love going in there, and I try to go in there every single weekend. But my number 3 is the Lamplight Lounge. It's such a fun atmosphere. I love that atmosphere. I love if you can get a good seat. I like going at the down below, actually.
Yeah.
The view, the food, the drink options. It's just a pretty great way to relax for an hour, and an hour that goes by quickly when you're there relaxing. It's got a lot of life and energy, and it's fun. And I like the food. I like the drinks. I love that vibe.
I went down there during about magic hour once, down there by the, a table as close as you can get pretty much to the fun wheel. And that was one of the coolest memories that I have, just drinks, a little fire that they have at the table, and the food. I mean, the food's okay, but the drinks, obviously, but just really the setting is fantastic. I agree.
Yeah. I loved it when it was Ariel's Grotto. I'd go,
yeah.
I loved it. Good stuff.
Okay, number 2. This is purely food. I don't know why, but Bengal barbecue for me is pretty much. I can't miss. You can't. If I need a food that I know I'm going to like, then I'm going to the Bengal bar. I mean, the setting is cool. The tables that they remodeled that a few years ago, and they added more tables. But I don't know what it is. I love those skewers, man. I'm now enjoying the spicy one, the Bengal. But I was a Banyan guy. I love the vegetable skewer. Is the best way to eat vegetables, in my opinion, is on those, grilled on a skewer like that. Absolutely, positively. If you have to have a good meal and you need something to count on, Bengal barbecue never misses for me.
I agree, and that's why I kind of had a little qualifier at the beginning, saying it's not necessarily my favorite meals, because my favorite thing to eat in the park is Bengal barbecue. It is my favorite thing. Yeah. But the whole so crammed and crap, and like if I get food, and so it didn't make my list for that kind of too quick. I was thinking in terms of actually sit down, have a meal. But I would say a good pro tip is if you order a Dole Whip or go to the Tropical Hideaway. So get your Bengal barbecue and take it over to Tropical Hideaway.
I often take my Bengal over to Tropical Hideaway. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice mix, man. You get the Banyan and the barbecue or the Bengal, as long with a Dole Whip and one of those things. Ooh, that's a good time. Plus, you watch the Jungle Cruise. My number 2, Blue Bayou. Again, I've prefaced this all with it's all about the vibe for me. This particular question, it's an awesome vibe. Obviously, it's romantic if you want it to be. Good food, music. You get to see pirates. So, I mean, obviously, you would like to go outside, but even if you don't go outside, it's good because you're in New Orleans Square. Well, no, you would be inside. It's a great way. It's jambalaya, adult beverage. Now that they have the adult beverage.
Yeah. I you know, it's funny. I didn't even think of it when I was making this list. I did because I think it's because I don't ever go. Like I've only been like maybe 3 times in my life.
I don't go often either because to me it's a couples kind of thing. It's more romantic than taking an 11-year-old.
God, I don't mind doing things by myself. I go to the movies by myself. I'll go to a restaurant by myself. I don't know if I'd go to Blue Bayou by myself though.
Exactly.
That's okay. Anyway, number 1 for me is Jolly Holiday, and because for me it's the best combination of food and setting. You talk about people watching. It's become such a regular thing for me right now. If I need to take a break and I need to, talk to the camera or something like that, I always wind up at the Jolly Holiday because, I'll set up my camera and I just got the background behind me and you can kind of feel that vibe of. I love Main Street. I love the hub. I love Town Square. I love the energy of that first part of the Disney park, and so that's why I'll often breakfast, lunch, dinner, you name it. You can have all of those there, but you get that it's the highest, bestest energy is that first part of the of the park, and you get to experience it. I will only sit on the rail,
right,
as much as I can help it. But I love that seat right there. You could if you're looking for me,
right,
if you're looking at me, find me at the Jolly Holiday right there on the where the hedges are, and I'll be sitting at one of those tables probably. But the food is great. The grilled cheese, the tomato bisque, the sandwiches rotate in and out. The salad, the Jolly Holiday salad is one of my favorite things to eat. Give me one of those and put me on the rail, and I'm about as happy as a person can be at Disneyland.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny. This is another one of those top 5 questions where when I start thinking about it, I'm like, man, I can make a case for virtually any restaurant to make my list.
Yeah.
Essentially, other than Tomorrowland, and I'm not trying to.
In my head, Galactic Grill is even gonna. I could even make a case for Galactic Grill,
right.
But I guess you can't.
I've never eaten there in my entire life. Never.
What?
Unless I ate with you on the show, I've never eaten there.
You've never chosen Galactic Grill?
Never gone to Galactic Grill in my life.
It's not bad.
For one thing, I mean, it might not be bad, but again, it's my schedule. Like I'm there, I'm out of Tomorrowland at 9 a.m.
Well, that's true. No, you're right. Yeah, you're not going back to Tomorrowland.
I'm not going back to Tomorrowland. And it's not. I have gone back to Tomorrowland for. I don't even remember what it's called. What's the alien pizza or whatever?
Oh yeah.
I've done that because, of course, young kid wants pizza and stuff. So I've done that, and then until I've done it a few times, and said, "Yeah, it's not my favorite pizza. I'd rather go to Toontown."
Their pizza sucks, Ron. You don't have to
I know.
Their pizza sucks.
That's why I like the Toontown pizza. The little personal pizza they do there is great. My number 1, Cafe Orleans. It's amazing views. It's my favorite restaurant.
Cafe Orleans. Geez.
It is my favorite restaurant. For one thing, New Orleans. There's just something about New Orleans Square, like when eating. Relaxing and enjoying a meal, any place in New Orleans Square, even if you go to the Mint Julep Bar just for something quick, I just love New Orleans Square when it comes to the vibe of to relax and eat. The views of Rivers of America, of course. The New Orleans Square energy for people watching is great. Monte Cristo is great, even though I love it until I eat too much of it and get an upset stomach.
It's a big sandwich.
So much of it. I just love it. I've just always had an affinity for Cafe Orleans. And well, that's that. That does it.
Yeah, that's it.
Anything else you want to add to button up our lovely show, Mr. Erickson?
Disneyland is still amazing, Ron. It's still amazing. Disneyland is still a wonderful place to be. Don't let all that negativity bring you down. Take a flyer. Go to Disneyland.
Yeah, and I say go now. Don't. Or actually, you need a reservation, but don't walk, run, because for several weeks now, I've gone anywhere I wanted within the parks, ordered whatever I wanted.
It was a breeze.
Virtually sat wherever I wanted, got on attractions without even getting Lightning Lane, got on everything. So it is a good time.
And you can get a same-day reservation, by the way, right now. Those are gettable, except for the weekends probably. But for the most part, most days, I could go online right now and you can get a reservation for today.
And if you ever want to see me at Disneyland and you look for him at Jolly Holiday, you can look for me at Olga's Canteen. All right, well, that brings a wrap to today's show.
All right.
Thank you for joining us and taking time out of your day. We appreciate it. We'll be back again next week. I do not know what we're going to talk about, but it's going to be Disneyland and it's going to be fun. And until then,
FreshBaked.
FreshBaked.